So are you ready to see how thinking in systems can make those huge business challenges a little less, well, huge?
Absolutely.
We're going deep on Donella Meadows' Thinking in Systems.
It's a classic.
And trust me, this isn't some dusty old theoretical book.
No, not at all.
It's absolutely packed with real-world examples.
Real-world examples that can change the way you see your business.
Yeah, and we're going to pull out those core principles.
Yes.
And we're going to show you how to actually use them to solve the real problems that you face every day in business.
Every single day.
Get ready for some serious aha moments.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you ever feel like you're always putting out the same fires in your business?
Oh, constantly.
Meadows, she calls these system traps.
Yeah.
And she gives you the tools to break free.
She does. It's amazing.
We'll dig into those a little bit later.
Sounds good.
But first, let's lay the groundwork.
Okay.
So what is a system?
Right. Well, a system, and this is whether we're talking about your business, the global economy, or even your morning coffee routine, has three key parts: the elements, the interconnections between those elements, and then the overall function or purpose of the system.
Okay, I'm following so far.
Yeah.
But how does that actually help me, run my business better?
Well, let's think about a really common business challenge, like low employee morale, right?
Yeah.
Now, you might be tempted to just throw more perks at the problem.
Right.
Free snacks, ping pong tables, whatever.
Sure.
Those are the elements.
Okay.
But Meadows, what her work shows is that simply changing the elements often has the least impact on a system.
So it's not just about adding new things or taking things away.
No, you got it.
Okay.
Think of it like this. If you swap out all the players on a basketball team,
Yeah.
you still have a basketball team, right?
Right.
The real game changer is understanding the relationships between those players, the plays they run, how they communicate.
Got it.
Those are the interconnections.
Okay.
And then there's the purpose. The goal of winning a championship
Uh-huh.
that shapes everything the team does.
Right.
So how do we apply this systems thinking to a real business?
Yeah, can you give me a concrete example?
Meadows uses this brilliant analogy of a bathtub to illustrate how systems work.
A bathtub.
Picture this. The water in the tub represents a key business metric.
Okay.
Let's say your customer base.
Right.
That's your stock.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So the faucet, that's everything you do to gain new customers, right?
Right.
Marketing campaigns, sales efforts, word of mouth referrals.
Right. Right.
Those are your inflow.
Inflows. Okay.
And on the other side,
Right.
you have the drain,
Right.
which represents all the things that cause you to lose customers.
Right.
Maybe it's poor customer service, competitors stealing your market share, or just natural attrition.
Yeah.
Those are your outflows.
Outflows.
The bathtub analogy is a great visual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It makes you realize that a business isn't just a collection of separate activities. It's this interconnected system where every action affects the overall level, in the tub, so to speak.
Yeah, it really makes you think about those cause and effect relationships
It does.
and how everything's kind of intertwined.
Exactly. And here's a key insight from Meadows.
Okay.
Those stocks,
Like customer base?
yeah, customer base, cash flow, inventory, they tend to change slowly.
Okay.
You can't drain a bathtub instantly.
Right.
Just like you can't magically double your customer base overnight.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes time.
It takes time.
These things, they move slowly. It's important, that principle of stocks changing slowly.
Yeah.
It explains why some strategies take time to actually show results and why sometimes we overreact to these short-term fluctuations.
Oh, yeah, we definitely get caught up in that.
We do.
So we've got our stocks.
Right.
We got our inflows.
Yes.
We got our outflows.
Uh-huh.
But where does the thinking come in?
Well, that's a great question.
How do we use this bathtub model to make better decisions?
That's where the concept of feedback loops come into play.
Feedback loops.
Feedback loops are how systems respond to changes within themselves,
Okay.
like a thermostat,
Yeah.
adjusts the heat to maintain a steady temperature.
Gotcha.
So it's not just this one-way street, right?
Yeah.
The level in the tub can actually influence the faucets and the drains.
Oh, okay.
Meadows identifies two main types of feedback loops.
Yeah.
Balancing loops
Yeah.
and reinforcing loops.
Okay.
Balancing loops, they work to keep things stable.
Got it. Like the thermostat.
Exactly, like the thermostat.
Uh-huh.
In business, a classic example is adjusting your inventory levels based on sales.
Right.
If sales are low,
Yeah.
you reduce production to avoid having too much inventory.
Right.
If sales are high, you ramp up production to meet that demand.
It's all about finding that equilibrium, right?
Exactly, keeping the system in check.
Keeping it steady.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then we have reinforcing loops, which are all about amplifying change.
Okay. Now, these can be incredibly powerful for growth,
Yeah.
but they can also lead to rapid decline.
If you're not careful.
If you're not careful, that's right.
Give me a business example of a reinforcing loop.
Think of a viral marketing campaign,
Okay.
right? One person shares your content.
Yeah.
10 people see it, and they share it. 100.
Right.
So on and so
It
forth.
just keeps growing.
Keeps growing. The more people share,
Yeah.
the more exposure you get,
Yeah.
which leads to even more sharing.
Yeah, it creates that snowball effect.
The snowball effect, exactly.
That's the dream.
That's the dream, right?
But I can also see how reinforcing loops can be dangerous if things start spiraling in the wrong direction.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take a company that starts losing customers, right? So they cut costs to maintain profitability.
Right.
But those cost cuts lead to lower quality products or services,
Yeah.
which drives away even more customers.
Yeah.
And it becomes this vicious cycle.
A downward spiral. A downward spiral, exactly.
So knowing about these feedback loops can help us anticipate those potential pitfalls and kind of steer things in a better direction.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And here's another crucial concept from Meadows
Okay.
that adds another layer of complexity.
Okay.
Delays.
Delayed.
Remember how we said those stocks change slowly?
Uh-huh.
Well, there are often delays between actions and their effects on those stocks.
So it's not always just a simple cause and effect relationship.
No, not always.
Okay.
Think about that car dealership.
Okay.
There's a delay between noticing a surge in sales and ordering more cars from the manufacturer.
Right.
And then there's another delay between placing that order and actually receiving those cars.
I see, yeah. And so those delays could really throw things off balance.
It could.
You might end up with a ton of cars when the demand has already cooled down.
Right.
Or you might be short on inventory when sales are booming.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
And this is where things get really interesting. Those seemingly insignificant delays
Yeah.
can actually cause wild swings in a business,
Wow.
just like in the economy.
Wait, are you telling me that those economic booms and busts that we see are just a result of delays in the system?
Meadows argues that those big economic cycles
Wow.
are often driven by the same principle.
Hmm.
Delays in information, production, decision-making.
Wow. Okay.
Understanding those delays is crucial for making better forecasts
Yeah.
and smoothing out those volatile swings.
Okay, that's mind-blowing.
It is pretty fascinating, right?
It really is. It makes you think about things in a whole new light.
It does.
So we've got these stocks, we got flows, we got feedback loops,
Right.
we got delays.
Yes.
It seems like things are getting pretty complicated here.
I know, right?
Is there any way to simplify all this?
That's where Meadows' concept of system traps comes in.
System traps.
System traps.
Okay.
These are common patterns of behavior
Mhm.
that can lead to really undesirable outcomes,
Okay.
even when our intentions are good.
So like classic mistakes that businesses make over and over again
Mm.
without even realizing it.
Exactly, you got it.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay,
Let's dive into these traps.
one of the most prevalent traps in business is what Meadows calls policy resistance,
Okay.
or fixes that fail.
Fixes that fail.
This happens when we try to solve problems by addressing the symptoms
Uh-huh.
without understanding that underlying system structure.
So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Yes.
You're making it look better on the surface, but the problem's still there.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
A classic example of this trap is constantly cutting prices to boost sales.
Right.
Now, it might give you a short-term bump,
Sure.
but it can trigger a price war that ultimately hurts everyone's profitability in the long run.
Yeah.
You're not addressing the root cause of why sales are declining in the first place.
Yeah, I've seen that happen in my own industry.
Really?
It's just a race to the bottom that nobody wins.
Nobody wins. Exactly.
Okay, what's another trap?
Another common trap is success to the successful,
Yeah.
also known as competitive exclusion.
Competitive exclusion.
This happens when winners in the system are constantly rewarded with more advantages,
Huh?
leading to monopolies or stifled innovation.
So it's like a rigged game where the rich get richer and the small players just can't catch a break.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Think about companies with massive marketing budgets, right? They can easily drown out the voices of smaller competitors,
Right.
even if the smaller companies have a superior product.
It creates a real barrier to entry for new businesses
Yeah,
and can just stifle creativity in the market.
absolutely.
Okay, so what else? What other traps are there?
Okay, well, then there's the trap of shifting the burden to the intervener
Okay.
or addiction.
Addiction.
This happens when we become reliant on quick fixes
Uh-huh.
or external support,
Okay.
which ultimately weakens the system's ability to solve its own problems.
I think I need like an example to really grasp this one.
Okay, imagine a business that becomes dependent on government subsidies.
Okay.
They might be able to stay afloat in the short term,
Right.
but they're not addressing the underlying inefficiencies or lack of innovation
Yeah.
that made them reliant on those subsidies in the first place.
So it's like using a crutch instead of strengthening your muscles, right?
Exactly.
You're not really solving the problem, you're just masking it.
You're masking it. Exactly.
And if that crutch is taken away,
Mm-hmm.
then you're really in trouble.
You're in trouble. That's right.
These system traps, they're eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's amazing how easy it is to fall into these patterns without realizing it.
Absolutely.
But now that we know about them,
Right.
what can we actually do to avoid them?
Well, the beauty of thinking in systems
Yeah.
is that it doesn't just point out the problems.
Right.
It offers solutions.
Okay, so how do we apply this systems thinking to our businesses?
Right.
Like, where do we start?
Meadows, she emphasizes the importance of identifying the key stocks,
Mhm.
flows, and feedback loops. Right.
That are operating in your specific business.
Okay.
Start by asking yourself,
Yeah.
what are the critical metrics that really matter for my success?
Uh-huh.
What actions increase or decrease those metrics?
Gotcha.
And then how do those metrics influence each other?
So it's about mapping out the system,
Yes.
seeing those cause and effect relationships,
Yeah.
understanding how everything's interconnected.
Exactly.
It's like having a blueprint for your business.
It is like a blueprint.
Yeah.
Understanding those hidden gears and levers
Yeah.
that are driving its behavior.
So you're not just reacting to what's happening. You're actually understanding the why behind it.
Exactly. And you
Good.
can be proactive.
And it's not a one-time exercise.
No.
This is an ongoing process.
It's a journey.
Right, of observation.
Observation, experimentation, and adaptation.
Yeah. The more you practice it,
Yes.
the better you get
Absolutely.
at recognizing those patterns and making those informed decisions.
It's like building a muscle, right? The more you use it,
Uh-huh.
the stronger it gets.
Exactly. You get better at thinking in systems.
Yeah.
You'll find that even the seemingly complex problems, they become more manageable.
Okay.
You start to see those leverage points,
Yeah.
those places where you can intervene and make a real difference.
It's about untangling those knots.
It is.
One loop at a time.
One loop at a time.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into thinking in systems,
Yes.
what's the key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think Meadows reminds us that we're all part of these interconnected systems, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
And by understanding those systems,
Yeah.
by seeing those feedback loops and leverage points, we can become more conscious
All right.
and effective participants in shaping the outcomes.
So it's about moving from a mindset of just reacting
Yeah, just reacting to events.
to a mindset of actually designing the system that we want to see,
Exactly. Taking control.
becoming architects of our businesses,
Yeah.
our own destiny.
Our own destinies. I love that.
It's exciting
It is exciting.
to have that power.
It is. It's about stepping back,
Yeah.
seeing that bigger picture,
Yeah.
asking those what-if questions.
Yeah. Like this.
What if we changed this rule, this connection, this goal?
Right.
How would that affect the system as a whole?
It's about embracing that curiosity,
Yes.
that willingness to experiment.
Experiment, learn,
Yeah.
be okay with making mistakes.
And learn from those mistakes.
Exactly.
So it's really a journey of continuous learning and improvement,
It is.
always seeking to understand those underlying systems that are shaping our world.
Our world, our businesses, our lives.
Thinking in systems. It's not just for business, is it?
No, not at all.
It's a powerful tool for understanding any complex system,
Absolutely.
from our personal lives
Yes.
to global challenges.
To global challenges.
Yeah.
So, to our listeners, go grab a copy of Thinking in Systems, start mapping out those systems in your own life and work.
Yeah. And see what new insights you discover.
You'll be amazed at what you find.
Your business, your relationships, and even the world might just thank you for it.
I think so, too.